Hi guys, BJ45 here. I'm going to talk about shows I grew up with in the early 2000s. So, no Adventure Time, no regular show, no anything, okay? And this is not going to be a top 10 list or a top 100 list. This is just shows I remember watching when I was young that impacted me. Um, with that, let's start with the show that most impacted me, which was the Teen Titans. Not Teen Titans Go, Teen Titans. What's up, Doug? Anyways, I didn't watch the last two seasons, but I did watch a bunch of it before they took it off um, Cartoon Network. It was a great show, which I wish they kept it running so I could catch up on it, but they didn't. But I can catch up on it now because I got HBO Max and it's on HBO Max. Anyways, next one. Codename Kids Next Door. I grew up with that shit forever. I even became an actual member of the real life Kids Next Door for a while. They wanted to decommission me, but they couldn't. It didn't work on me at all. I still have my ID, but it's in my memory box. I'm not going through that to get the ID. My memory box is this big. So, yeah. Anyways, that show that show impacted me to create things out of basically trash. Um, and the real Kids Next Door in real life is not a fighting. I mean, the real Kids Next Door in real life is just a fandom club for Kids Next Door. Yeah. And I'm still waiting for what was it called Kids Next Door Galaxy. I don't remember what they were calling it, but I know that it's never going to happen, even though the petition was set up for it to happen. Um, got so many people on it, so many people signed that. I signed that. I signed that sheet for them to make that show, the sequel to Kids Next Door. But then it got taken down and it was taken down because it already reached the goal, and they send it to Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network was like, "Fuck that! I'm still not going to do it." Galactic Kids Next Door, that's what it was called. Uh, which is still fucking pissing me off. Which I wish they said yes to that petition. I mean, like there were thousands of people on it. Even I was on it. So why not? But anyways, I didn't grow up with that show because that show didn't even come out. There was like a little pilot that came out, but yeah. Um, the Kids Next Door, Codename Kids Next Door is what I grew up with, and I loved it. The first few seasons were a little slow, and I didn't really like them. But when they started getting when they started getting Lori, I'm like, fuck this game. This show has lore. I want to watch it more. Um, let's talk about He-Man. I grew up with the original He-Man, and I also grew up with the He-Man 2002 version, which I started watching again on YouTube because it's on YouTube now. A lot of old stuff that I used to watch is on YouTube, mostly because they can't be copyrighted or whatever, which I don't understand that. But yeah, I grew up with two different He-Mans because I had Boomerang and I watched Boomerang and I watched Cartoon Network. I mean, not Cartoon Network. I watched Jetix, and that's where the He-Man series was the newer one, the 2002 version was on FX. And I'm fucking pissed that FX isn't on anymore. There was a lot of shows I watched on that that affected my life. Um, anyways, Goosebumps. Goosebumps I fucking watched. In school, I watched it online. I watched it all the time. The show, not the books. I can't read. I'm dyslexic and I read at a third grade level because I can't be taught according to the schools I was in. So I watched the show, I watched videos, like clips of the show on YouTube. More recently, which is not really I grew up with this, but much recently I've been watching videos of people summarizing Goosebumps books, basically reading the Goosebumps books to me. And the reason I started this is because I started doing that with the Fast Fair Fright books were being done by Daco like this, and I'm like, I want to do this with Goosebumps. So I started doing it. So I started looking on YouTube for it on Goosebumps, and found it. Anyways, also, Are You Scared of the Dark, which I'm watching again more recently, but I have watched it when I was younger. And I also watched The Haunting Hour, which is basically all three of those. R.L. Stine was involved with. Goosebumps, he was heavily involved in. The Haunting Hour, he was there to help direct, but he didn't really make the scripts. And Are You Scared of the Dark? He was part of the writing crew for like a few episodes. Then he's like, "Fuck this! This is getting too dark for my work." Because Are You Scared of the Dark got darker over time. Their stories. Anyways, I grew up with all three of those, and I remember on the Hub channel, I was at my mother's, and I was with my cousin, and we were watching the marathon of horror, because this is like around Halloween. Are You Afraid of Dark, Goosebumps, and The Haunting Hour were all running back to back. My cousin went upstairs because his mom came home because he was over my mom's because my mom lives downstairs. Well, she doesn't live downstairs to my aunt anymore, but she used to live downstairs to my aunt, and my aunt left and my uncle wasn't home, so my cousin came downstairs to the downstairs apartment with my mother and me to hang out until they come home. We're watching this. He went upstairs when they came home, and the next day my aunt's like, he couldn't sleep last night after watching TV, and she asked me, why couldn't he sleep? I said, maybe because the Haunting Hour and Goosebumps and Are You Scared of the Dark were on as a marathon last night, and she's like, oh, you shouldn't let him watch those. I'm like, no one told me. And plus, he was barely paying attention. He was playing with my Legos while I was watching it, and him try to climb me when he wanted my attention. He was 6, and I was I think I was probably 11. I could be wrong. I don't know how far different our ages are. I remember holding him when he was a baby with my grandma. I actually have a picture of my grandma holding him while I'm sitting next to her. Anyways, so there's that, and now let's go to Jeff X stuff. More Jeff stuff. Sonic X, I loved. I wish that kept going, but it had a perfect ending. The American version, Sonic just gives Amy flowers at the end of the series, and announces a date. In the Japanese version, he proposes to Amy. I didn't watch the Japanese version because I don't know how to speak Japanese. I don't know how to. I only know how to speak English, and I don't know how to spell in English. I don't know how to spell at all, so fuck that. Um. Anyways, so the reason I know that different ending is because I watched a video on YouTube when they were talking about the difference between Japanese and American version of shows, and they mentioned Sonic X and said that Japanese version Sonic proposes, American version Sonic asks her on a date. Anyways, I also watched Astro Boy. This Astro Boy is fucking dark. I grew up with the dark Astro Boy. More recently, I watched the original Astro Boy, which wasn't really dark. It was just like a superhero flick. But the one I grew up with was on Jetix, and it was like an anime version, but it was all in English, and it was in English because I live in America, basically. But I was watching the English version, basically, and it was still pretty dark, even though I heard that the Japanese version was darker. But yeah, I don't mean and I don't mean the shade of the show. I mean like the atmosphere of the show. Anyways, so sorry, my cat's tongue is her she's licking her feet, and the noise is annoying. Basically, in this show, it's darker than the original series of Astro Boy, and it's just sad to see this dark. I grew up with the dark version, but when I grew up, I saw the original version, and it's lighter, and I'm just confused. But anyways, the version I grew up with was dark and stuff, but basically, Astro Boy was made to be a weapon, to destroy every scientist at that was basically rude to the original inventor of him. I forgot his name, but and the project was shut down before he could finish Astro Boy. But then Astro Boy ended up being finished anyways by a different professor, and he reprogrammed Astro Boy to not kill, but to save. And there's so much more. It's basically like Mega Man. It's like Mega Man, except there's different plot points and different story. It's basically that. I never seen the Mega Man series. Well, actually, I seen like 2 episodes of Mega Man, and I'm like, fuck this is boring. Even though it's a video game character who got a show later, but it's still boring. It was still boring to me. And I think I was probably, I was 16 when I watched the Mega Man stuff, but that's not a show I grew up with. It's just one I watched that was there. Anyways, another FX show I grew up with was, for a while, Power Rangers was an FX show, but it's not anymore. It's a Nickelodeon show now. And well, actually, no, it was a Nickelodeon show, but then the franchise was bought by Netflix, and now it's a Netflix show. Anyways, I grew up with that on FX originally, and I love Power Rangers. I still do, and I still watch it. even though it's kind of getting competitive because it's trying to it's trying to have adult audiences and kid audiences, and the kid audience part of the show is a little bit too pronounced, so the adult audience can't really see the, through it. Basically, that's what I have happened to me when I watch it now. But I still enjoy it if I just get past the kid stuff, the kiddie parts, basically. Um. Oh, don't you scratch me. She scratched me by accident by stretching. Um, Another show I grew up with was Batman the Animated Series, and then Batman New Adventures. I also grew up with Batman Beyond and Batman the Batman. Basically, the Batman show too, where it's a more modernized version of Batman, where it's like more nowadays. Well, it's not nowadays anymore because the show ended about a couple years ago. Um, it ended when they started bringing in other superheroes in the show. That's when they ended. So I'm guessing the other superheroes of the show made the ratings drop, and they can't ended the series before it got to Justice League. Anyways, so I grew up with those three Batman shows. I also grew up with the live action Batman show, which, well, I didn't grow up with the live action Batman show. I grew up with the live action movie with uh Adam West. I didn't watch the series, but I seen the movie, and I grew up with the movie. The reason I grew up with the movie when the show is really old and the movie's really old is mostly because my papa had that movie on disc for a while. Well, no, it was on VHS. I think it was on VHS, not disc, VHS. I heard the show is now on um, disc and you can get it, but I don't have the money to. I looked it up before. It's really expensive. Um, but I grew up with the movie of Adam West Batman, and the most iconic scene that everyone, everywhere references is the shark repellent spray. I'm like, that's not even a fucking good. That's not even a main scene of the movie. It's just a beginning scene of the movie. It doesn't matter. Why does people always reference it? I know it's kind of goofy, but the whole fucking movie is goofy. And the series, for what I heard. Okay, another show I grew up with, which I loved, and I still love, is Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. I have the movie on disc. I I don't have the series on disc, but I do have the series on YouTube because so many old cartoons that I love are on YouTube right now because of the copyright error things, of loopholes and stuff. Anyways, let's talk about that series. I watched the series and I watched the movie. Uh, Disney broke the movie up into episodes of the first season. But on YouTube, they don't have that breaking up episodes of the movie to the first season. On YouTube, it starts when the actual series takes place, and they don't take the movie as part of the series, which is good. Even though Disney made it a part of the series after they started making the series after they made the movie. Basically, they made the movie, they made the series, they turned the movie into cut up pieces, and turned that into part of the series, which YouTube doesn't have that, which is good because I rather watch the series than parts of the movie before I watch the series. Uh, um, I love the Christmas episode where actual Santa Claus asks for Buzz for help. It's hilarious. Um, Now I'm talking about Buzz Lightyear's argument. Let's talk about the crap shoot of toy line. Well, it's not crappy. I like the toys. I don't have any of them, but I like them. The crap shoot I'm referring to of these toys is there's no Mira. No Mira Nova toy. There's XR, there's Booster, there's Buzz, there's Zurg, there's a Nebula. But there's only two Nebulas. One was a Nick Donald toy, and one was basically a little hologram thing that you put on Buzz's wrist. No Mira, except for one Nick Donald's toy, which I already said. Captain Nebula has a Nick Donald's toy, but I'm saying is, Mira has a Nick Donald's toy, but you can't. When you get that Nick Donald's toy, I've seen tons of videos of this Nick Donald's toy. You can't see Mira through the glass, through the plastic, the clear plastic, because the clear plastic is crap. In the inside, it's all smudged, and everyone's toy of Mira for the McDonald's Happy Meal has the same problem. You can't see Mira in it unless you cut open the toy and move the plastic, and then you see her. But it's fucking a toy that's not supposed to be cut open. So they should have made a better fucking choice with their plastic stuff, or make someone who made this toy should have made it so the plastic is more polished before they fucking give it to McDonald's to sell. Anyways, let's talk about a good movie, which is recent also, but isn't part of the list I'm telling you about. I need to tell you. Buzz Lightyear, also known as Lightyear. Lightyear was a great movie. I liked it. I'm just upset that they didn't bring Booster XR, Mira into it, or Captain Nebula. They have a guy who's like Captain Nebula, but that's not his name, and he doesn't have the sprawling mustache. But it's a good movie. They have a RoboCat, and I think the Robot Cat is supposed to be like XR, but I'm not feeling it. Anyways, let's go back to shows I grew up with. I grew up with Looney Tunes, and I also grew up with the Mario Brothers Super Show. Great shows, and not much to talk about. I loved them. I still do. Yeah. Another show I grew up with was the classic Captain America show. The one where he's like this. When Captain America throws his mighty shield, those opponents he fought will yield. And I forgot the rest of the song. I grew up with that, and I also grew up with the Ever-Loving Hulk series, and I also grew up with a later Hulk series. I forgot what the other Hulk series is called, but there's the one that's called the Ever-Loving Hulk, and then there's another one which has crossovers of the dozen. There's Ghost Rider, Motorcycle Ghost Rider, I forgot his name. I forgot his name, but it's the motorcycle version of Ghost Rider. And there's Doctor Strange appears, and I don't know if there's anyone else that. Sorry, I don't. Sorry, I don't. It's been so long since I've seen the show. I can watch it whenever I want because I think it's on Disney Plus or maybe it was on something else. I don't remember. Um, I also grew up with Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends with um, Iceman and Firestar, I think her name was. I also grew up with Iron Man. I forgot what I don't know what it was called. It was just called Iron Man, I think, where it was a younger Tony Stark and younger Pepper Potts and younger Rhodey. Rhodey's mom is a lawyer. Um, Tony Stark doesn't have the rights to his business yet because he's too young. His father went missing, and then later in the season, you find out he's imprisoned by the Mandarin. Um, yeah, but that's on Disney Plus. I know that is. I also grew up with Spider Man. The cartoon where it has the end at the end of the series. It had like a two-parter or three-parter. I don't remember if it was a three-parter or a two-parter, but it was this. It's the spider web crisis thing with multiple Spider-Men from different dimensions. I don't remember what the Spider-Man was called, but I grew up with that Spider-Man, and I also grew up. I'm trying to think what else I grew up with. um, Lego Hero Factory. They're like there were movies or a series of movies. There were like five, maybe 10 movies. Um, five or maybe 10 movies of Hero Factory, and then there was like a Bionicle movie. I think there were like four of those. Which I grew up with. Um, I also grew up with Harry Potter, which is no surprise since I have lots of Harry Potter Lego sets and lots of Harry Potter games. Which is a new. There's a new Harry Potter game coming out on the Switch and Xbox One and PlayStation. I'm gonna get that when it's out because it's not out yet, but I could buy it. I can buy it before it's out, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna wait until it's out because I don't want to wait too long for it because if I wait too long for it, it might not come because I bought it so long ago and I would lose money and it wouldn't come. I had that happen before when I bought something that wasn't um, in stock yet or out yet. I never got it and I lost money. Um, another thing I grew up with is Lord of the Rings, which I don't know if you guys noticed. I love Lord of the Rings. I played The Hobbit and I played Lord of the Rings Lego versions, and I have some Lego Lord of the Rings sets. Not that many, but yeah, I have some. Um, I grew up with the storyteller, the Jim Henson's Cruise storyteller. I don't know if it was Jim Henson's idea, I think, but I know Jim Henson made most of the creatures in that series. My favorite episode of The Storyteller is the one about the soldier who walks the earth forever, not able to die because the sins that he did, and because everyone in hell is scared of him because of his magic sack. And also because Death won't take him. Death won't kill him because Death is scared of him and his magic sack. So he's wandering the earth forever, not able to die, lost and longing to die. Sad ending, but I loved it. I didn't tell you the whole story. I just told you the end. There's more to the story. If you want to know about it, go look up The Storyteller and watch the whole series, because I don't know what episode it was, but it was great. I grew up with The Muppet Show, and I grew up with Sesame Street too. There's so many more shows I grew up with, but the ones I just told you are the main ones that I had affect my life. So, yeah. Like, subscribe, share this video with your friends. See you for 5 years later.